I'm running out of words. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. And today, now we're going to be talking about the terrible, despicable, awful, embarrassing performance that Barça just put on against Atleti. I don't really know what to say at this point. I'm going to be so honest. I'm warning you right now. This might be a crash out video. All right. Barça got dismantled in the first half. Absolutely dunked on in every single aspect. Barca didn't show up in the first half. They could have just stayed in the dressing room and we wouldn't have noticed the difference. Even the forfeit might have actually been better because at least then you would have only lost 3-0. With a game like this, right, you come into this game, you've been in decent form lately. Atleti are picking up form now after signing Ademola Lookman, who's genuinely elevated them. Bubil in defense has done well. No matter what, right? No matter what. I don't care what anybody says. No matter what. If you're Barca, one thing is losing a game against Atleti. Another thing is losing a game against Atleti who have not been in amazing form over the course of the last, let's say, 2 months, right? 4-0. 4-0. You lose 4-0 to Atleti, who just recently started picking up form. I just don't know what to say, man. If Barca at least showed up in the first half, like if Barca actually tried to play any kind of football in the first half at all, if they looked like they even had the desire to be at the Metropolitano tonight, to fight for more silverware, to basically kill off Atleti's last hopes of silverware this season, we could have had a completely different first half. But Barca showed up to the Metropolitano, and right off the bat, Atleti scored. Then they score again. Then they score again. Then they score again. 2 or maybe 3 of their goals were the exact same goal, the exact same blueprint. Smoking Balde down the left-hand side, putting a cross in, and then just as the player shapes up to shoot, he cuts it back. Goal. I know people are going to look at this game, if you're a Barca fan, and go, oh, but the referee this, the referee that. It wasn't the referee's fault that Barca got smoked 4-0 in the first half and couldn't recover. It's not the referee's fault that Barca lacked any kind of inventiveness until the 75th minute. Hansi Flick, I thought, did very well in putting on Lewandowski, a very attacking substitution. I thought that was really good. Ferran wasn't playing well. Put on someone like Ronny Bargi. What are you doing keeping Ferran on? It's clearly not working. In another game, it might have worked. Ferran has been good this season, I think. I don't think he's been amazing, but I think he's been good. I think that's fair to say. And for Hansi Flick to just keep him on for the full 90 when he's clearly just not on it today, I don't understand that. To me, Dani Olmo was one of the only players who actually wanted to do something, as well as Fermin Lopez. Lamine Yamal, I thought, did well as usual. Not too flashy. I thought he did well. The penalty that people are calling for inside the box around the 70th, 80th minute, I would not say that that's a penalty. And even if it was, Barca are now, at that point, given the mentality they've shown throughout the entire game, they're not going to come in, score a penalty, and then all of a sudden start a remontada and finish it in the 90th saying 4-4. It's not going to happen. With the mentality the team had today, it was never going to happen. I saw people on Twitter talking about, oh, but Barca are missing Rafinha, they're missing Pedri, they're missing this. I don't care who they're missing. I don't care who you're missing. The team that Hansi Flick has built since he joined over a season ago has shown mental strength throughout the duration of Hansi Flick's tenure so far, right? You could talk about, well, the whole presidential elections, that's putting pressure on the players. Of course, the Araujo situation, putting pressure. Not necessarily pressure, but it does shake things up a little bit, right? And also, kudos to Araujo for speaking out about that. I think Bohan was one of the very few players who spoke out about that after leaving Barca and everything that happened to him. He's one of the very few players who's actually spoken out about it openly and said, no, I went through this. Dele Alli is another example, right? You don't hear much about it. It's obviously a part of the game, but you don't hear much about it. So to me, I respect Araujo a lot for that thing specifically. Now, when you're losing 4-0, is it a wise decision to put on Ronaldo Araujo? I'm not sure why that was necessary. You don't want to concede more goals, sure. But you have Ronny Bargi. Put him on. There are so many things I don't understand about tonight's game. Like about the decisions that were made. Under other managers in the past, Barca fans have been very quick to pinpoint the manager and scapegoat him and say, oh, but it's his fault that these players aren't performing. It's not Hansi Flick's fault that not a single player in the first half showed any sort of desire. all across the board. Not a single player showed any desire whatsoever to chase the second ball, to win a 50-50, to shoot from range. Nothing at all. Barça played the most conservative game we've seen from the start of the season until now. This is by far, given what's at stake, the most conservative game, the most cagey affair that we've seen from Barça this entire season. This was just awful from Barça on all fronts. The second half looked a little bit better. Barça got into it with some momentum with the Paco Barça goal, which, by the way, for me, if you're going to spend 5 minutes and then not even check the monitor, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. When the referee normally doesn't go to the VAR screen, it's because the VAR team is usually quite certain of their decision, and he feels that there is sufficient information for him to go off of and for them to agree. That's how that works. Spending 5 minutes on a goal that in the grand scheme of things might affect it. It's not like it's a 4-4 or a 4-5. It's a 4-1, and you spent 5 minutes looking for any sort of way to say that this was offside. Any sort of way. If he's going to be off by a toenail's toenail, what rules are we really trying to enforce here? Because the whole point of VAR was to strip the uncertainty from football, and it was to not kill the flow. Even if the goal stood, you just killed off Barça's momentum for 5 minutes completely. You completely killed off the game because Atleti are totally fine with sitting back and defending for 45 and then another 10 minutes of injury time, right? That's not a problem for them. That's what they do. That's what they're good at. And to be fair, I think Atleti had every right to do that. I think they had every single right to do that in the second half. And Barça just were not good enough to break them down. It's that simple. The Eric Garcia red card, I honestly thought was a bit harsh. It's very clear that it's not done with ill intent, but, you know, the law is the law. And I'm sure if you ask the right person, you could probably get some sort of legal justification for why that's a red card. It is what it is. But it's also in like the 86th minute. So realistically, what it means is that Eric Garcia will miss the return leg. You know, whether that's a huge loss or not depends on who you ask. I think for me, he's been one of the most solid performers this entire season. And given Araujo's inconsistencies normally, especially when there's a lot at stake in latter seasons, I personally don't feel super comfortable with him being there in the starting 11. But he has performed decently, I think, since coming back from his break. And if he can put on a similar cameo to what we saw today, I think that'll be fine. I think he did decent today. I don't think he did anything or extraordinarily bad. I don't think his decision-making was poor. I thought he looked pretty confident. And so for me, that's not the biggest loss we could possibly have in this scenario. Lord, give me strength. The loss on the scoreline is one thing, man. But again, Barça didn't just lose 4-0. Barça lost by getting completely thrashed, neutralized, annihilated, and embarrassed at the Metropolitano. In every single way possible. Back when Luis Enrique was Barça's manager in the Barça PSG, the famous remontada in the Champions League, and they asked him, well, you're down by this many goals. And he said, well, we'll just score those goals and then one more, right? We'll just score 6. It's not a problem. And then Barça went on to score 6, right? That's the mentality to have. You can't lose like this. You can't. If you want to win the Copa, if you want to look back at this season and say, well, we won La Liga with confidence. Like, it wasn't like Barça won La Liga because Real Madrid couldn't beat Levante. Like, it's not that kind of scenario that you ideally want if you're Barça, if you want to be better than you were last season, right? Rashford missing, Rafinha missing, Pedri missing, the whole team breaks down. That doesn't add up. That's not how a team should function, right? Because the whole criticism of Barça up until Lionel Messi left was the Messi dependencia, right? Now you're getting to a point where Barça are not relying on necessarily just one player, right? Like, if Lamine Yamal is out, you can definitely tell a difference. Same thing with Rafinha. But if you lose Rafinha and Pedri, Rashford is, realistically speaking, a fringe player. It should not break your entire team down. I understand that you'd say, okay, well, Barça don't have the same kind of control in a game over the course of the full 90 when you don't have Pedri, because Pedri gives you that control, and he's also very good going forward. But for the control, you'd have to readjust and maybe pivot to a different strategy on how to keep possession And then for going forward, you have two very good attacking midfielders who should be more than capable of doing that job. And for me, Dani Olmo having to play as a second pivot was interesting. I thought it was an interesting decision by Hansi Flick. We saw it, I believe, against FC Copenhagen as well. I think he did well today. I think throughout the latter stages of the game, I thought he was one of the very few players on that pitch who actually was wearing Blaugrana, actually looked like they wanted to achieve something in this game. And he still had a lot of belief. He kept trying stuff. And, you know, it didn't work out, but at least he tried. And to me, I'd much rather, if I'm a Barça fan, which I am, I'd much rather see that than see players running around and really not looking to do anything. I mean, João Cancelo, for absolutely no reason in the world, a ball is coming down the line, and he puts his hand out as if to knock it down with his hand. What are you doing? You just came on. Barça are losing 4-0. Why do you want to catch a yellow card? It was the same thing against FC Copenhagen. He comes on and 3 fouls in a row, and then he gets a yellow. And it doesn't make sense at all. Because this is not the João Cancelo we saw last time he joined Barça. I'm not saying like, oh, but he hasn't been good in the first 2 games, so he is not it. This time it's not going to work out. That's not what I'm saying. But equally, it just feels like he's not taking it seriously. You know what I mean? That's sort of my problem with this is you come into a game where Barça are losing 4-0. You've been trusted to try and give Barça some sort of attacking venom. The one time you go forward, you get a corner, fine. And then on the defense, you almost give away a handball deliberately. Like, that was a very obvious handball move. He wasn't trying to stretch and tackle. He was trying to knock it down with his hand to stop the play. What flow are you trying to disrupt? Barça are down by 4 goals and haven't managed to score a single legal goal this entire game. What flow are you trying to disrupt? If it was a Getafe player doing it, I'd say fine. Jose Bordalás' entire tactic is literally disrupting the flow of the opposing team, frustrating them to the point where they have a lapse in concentration, and then striking on the counter. That's the Jose Bordalás way. That's how it's always been, right? But this is not Getafe. You're not supposed to do that. There's no reason for you to do that at all. There's no explanation that could possibly justify the idea of doing something like that in a game like this. It doesn't make sense. And look, I'm not saying that because I want to take a hit at Cancelo. I'm just saying I don't understand his decision in this game, and I didn't understand his decisions against FC Copenhagen either. And maybe this loan move just won't work out the same way the first one did. I mean, granted, in the first one, Barca ended up not buying him, but it was a very, very good loan spell. I think most people, at least that was the consensus that I saw, and the one that I personally agreed with. I thought Cancelo's loan spell, the first one, I thought was very good. You know, obviously that is a piece of the puzzle that Hansi Flick still needs to figure out where to fit in, because do you fit him in instead of Balde, who also is very good going forward, but for me in recent games, one thing I've noticed about Alejandro Balde, which really worries me, is usually he does push up a lot more. Now, whether this is a tactical decision by Hansi Flick or whether it's insecurity on Balde's part, I'm not sure. But in the times where we've seen him push up, he does look like a threat more often than not. So why he's not pushing up as much, why he's not taking on these one-on-ones, why he's not drifting inside and trying to make something happen, because every time he does, he looks super dangerous. So I don't know why he stopped doing that in the last couple of games as much, right? And that was also my critique of him, one of the games Barça had recently as well. He's very capable going forward. So for me, if you put a Cancelo ahead of him, if Balde pushes forward, I would not necessarily say that Cancelo is more of a threat. And then obviously we still need to talk about the understaffing in defense for Barça, because Cubarsí, I thought, was largely good today. Koundé had an awful first half. I thought he had a pretty good second half. For me, he was one of the few players on that pitch that looked quite consistent, quite solid, believed in himself when he pushed up, and looked confident on the ball and even off it. I thought Jules Koundé had a very good second half, all things considered, but the first half for me was just not good at all. And the entire defense just kept getting caught in the high line every single time. I know saying this, I'm preaching to the choir, but this high line, it worked last season because no one was expecting it. Now they're expecting it. So either you need to find players who are extremely capable of playing that style consistently and over the course of an entire season, or you need to refine it so you don't go back to like a rest defense attitude of defending, but then at least not push up that much. Don't have your entire line of defense be right before the halfway line, because you're gonna get smoked against a team that knows how to utilize that. It's just it was so easy. They made it look so easy. Atleti, for me, over the course of the last couple of seasons, they have not looked nearly as composed in the final third as they did today. They played such a good game today in the first half, Atleti. And in the second half, to their credit, they managed it very, very well. So this video, I don't want it to come across as me saying Atleti did not deserve the win. They absolutely did. The scoreline absolutely reflects their domination. Barça should absolutely go back to the drawing board 5 times before even stepping out on a training pitch before they meet Atleti again. In the grand scheme of things, this does very much diminish the idea and the potential of winning the Copa del Rey this season for Barça, because you come into the game at the Camp Nou already at a disadvantage. I'm sick and tired of people constantly saying this thing of, oh, but you know, all the things going on around the club, you know, they affect the players so much. All right, you know, that's fair on a human level, on a personal level, I get it. But you're making millions every single month or every single year. You're making so much money. And you're doing this because you're very skilled at it. Otherwise, you would not be at a club like Barça. You would not be playing at the Champions League. You would not be playing at the big stage. Let it not affect you to the point where your performance suffers, to the point where you play like you forgot what a football is. Second, the ref blew his whistle for kickoff. It's just unacceptable. There's no reason for Barça to come out in the first half like that. And I get it, the second half, the Cubarsí goal gets disallowed. It kills Barça's momentum. Keep pushing. You just scored a goal. Even if it was not deemed a valid goal and it's still 4-0. You just showed that you're capable of putting the ball into the back of the net to some extent, which is way more than you did in the first half anyway. So just keep pushing. Try again. The second that goal was ruled out, Barça just went from gear 5 to gear 2. And they kept passing around. Hey, man, we had 70% possession first half. I don't care if you had 90% possession the first half. Atleti, the first 2 goals, they had 2 shots on target, 2 goals. But obviously, one of those shots was not a goal. The first goal was the pass back that Joan Garcia missed because the ball bubbled right past him, which is unlucky on Joan Garcia's part. And again, that obviously should not in any way diminish what he's built so far. But it's you know? All right, man. I think that's it for this time. I could talk about this all day, and I don't have any intentions of doing that because my heart rate went up a decent amount already. And I'm not looking to make it spike again. So let me know what you guys think down below, man. Do you think it was as doomy and gloomy as I'm presenting it? Do you think that Barça stand a chance in the second leg? I want to say never, but at the same time, if they play anything similar to what we saw today, it's over from the off. Might as well just stay home. Work from home that day. How about that? If you're gonna put on the same performance in the return leg that you did today, you might as well just stay home. That's it. That's all I have to say. Y'all take care of yourselves. Let me know down below what you think. Subscribe, like, ring the bell. All that stuff, man. A lot more content coming your way. And if you like this type of like raw breakdown, let me know. Let me know down below. Because if you do, I'll do more of it. If you don't, I won't. So just let me know. I have been Omar Hawash. This has been the reoccurrence of a seasonal depression that I hope you enjoyed watching nonetheless. And that's it. Y'all take care. Peace.